Hey, 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 yeah, hey, what a time to be alive. I left them for dead, now I'm living right. No new friends, no new advice. That was high then, but we got bigger heights. We got bigger fish to fry. Bet on myself, then I roll the dice. Man, it ain't a gamble if you know you nice.
All right, welcome back, Dawn a Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Ara Amen. This is the #1 podcast in Dallas, and I got a very special guest here today, Dr. Michael Burks Jr.
Good to be here, man.
Pleasure, man.
Man, it's been a little journey, right? We met briefly, right?
This is my first time, and this is what I love about connections, relationship building, social media.
Yep.
I literally put a post out yesterday. I said, "Who wants to come on the podcast?"
Exactly.
And you know who responded?
Who?
My mom.
That's awesome.
My mom responded. I'm gonna get my parents on one day. One of my buddies, and he different story, but
Oh yeah.
and then you.
Yeah. I am a good friend of ours, a mutual friend between ours. He tagged me in it. I looked, and I kind of looked at the podcast on Instagram. I was like, man, this looks pretty dope. And I was like, let me go ahead to his page and say, yeah. Not knowing that I was supposed to talk to Michael first and let him know that I was supposed to contact you. But yeah, I saw it and I was like, man, this is a great opportunity. I think I love the format. I love the conversations. I was like, yeah, I just got to jump on this.
I'm glad you did, man. And it wasn't like, oh, I wanted to make sure with Michael first, but I was like, hey, I just wanted, if it's him, I was probably gonna have you on regardless. But
yeah.
Knowing it's a referral from Mr. Burrows, I'm like, okay, this has got to be good. This has got to be good.
Any referral from him is definitely beneficial in any type of fashion, whether if it's relational or business. You know that he's done it for me, and I know you were the same way. Like, hey, let me make sure this is coming from the right place, which it always is. And I'm glad I took the invite, man.
Awesome, man. Hey, I'm big on stories, man.
Yeah.
I want to know your story.
Okay.
So let's start from the beginning. Where were you born? What was it like growing up?
So I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
Grew up very humble and dysfunctional beginnings, actually. Alcohol abuse, physical abuse, mental and emotional abuse in the household for as long as I can remember. I grew up in those environments. A lot of things were told to me that I shouldn't be doing or couldn't be doing or won't be doing. But I went against the grain on a lot of things. Even as a kid, it caused problems. It got me in a very tough spot a lot of times, but I did it anyway, right? There was always this thing in me that you're different, right? And when you're a kid, you're like, I must have been born from someone else. But I always knew I was different. And it through some time, gang banging and going that life for about 5 or 6 years. I had an epiphany one time. I was sitting with my mom, and I was like, if I don't get out of Chicago, I'm going to die. And she was like, Michael, don't talk like that. I was like, I'm just being real. I understand these spots, these places, these things that I'm doing. I'm going to end up dead sometime, Mom. She's like, so what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know yet. We got to figure it out. So I don't know how she ended up getting into it, but she understood and got information about Job Corps. And that was the pivotal point that started changing my life to get me to understand that I can be exactly the person that I kept envisioning in my head. Went to Job Corps the first time, didn't work out as well as I planned it to be, right? I messed up and brung Chicago with me instead of leaving it behind. I was able to get my GED from there and a little bit of the trade, but they kicked me out.
What's Job Corps?
This was in Dayton, Ohio.
What is it?
Dayton. What is Job Corps? Job Corps is a federal educational program where there are a bunch of campuses all over the U.S. where they transfer this facility into almost like a college campus for people who want to get away from everything, learn a trade, get your GED or high school diploma, away from all the distractions.
Okay.
It's a federal funded program. You stay on a campus, get fed 3 times a day. A lot of the resources are already there for you. All you have to do is get up and go to class every day and just live, right? So me getting away from the distractions of Chicago, all the gang banging, all the drugs, all the family problems, everything, it allowed me to see myself in a much clearer space. And the first Job Corps, I messed up because I brung it with me, right? then what happens is you can't go back to Job Corps for a year. That next following year, I signed back up. This time I did it the right way. Came in, I started off with carpentry, the carpentry program. And during there, I did so well, they had offered me the advanced carpentry program. I was like, great. It's in Albany, Georgia. So I get to Albany, Georgia. Quick funny story. Albany, Georgia was the first time I ever flew.
Okay.
So, but it was the most frightening experience in my life, right? So I get there, and it's the advanced carpentry program. So we get to do big projects, big construction projects. So I get there, and they're like, hey, get ready. Don't unpack too much. Tomorrow we're leaving out and going to Kansas City to help build another Job Corps gym. I'm like, all right, great, let's go. So we go to the airport, and it's a 6-seater airplane. This is my first.
Small airplane.
Propellers, the whole thing. This is my first time on an airplane.
Oh my God.
Boy. So this thing gets up in the air, and I don't know if you've ever been on a small plane.
I've been on one small airplane,
everything.
and I was freaking out the entire time. I went
my
skydiving, and it was in a small airplane. And
yeah.
I was more scared going up in the plane than I was jumping out.
Yes.
Because
and
you're
then when
like,
you get up there, you feel every movement.
Yeah.
I don't know if people understand that when you're on a huge airplane, there's these air pockets that planes hit, and it's almost like the plane is diving, and you can hear it. You don't hear that on a large plane.
They do a really good job on like commercial airplanes to not feel.
Yeah, but on a small plane, you can hear it go, and it's diving. You're like, oh my God, please catch. Man, and myself not being on an airplane before, I sat in the back. So I got all that sway in the back and everything. Crazy story, right? So to this day, I'm really still kind of fearful of flying because of that one experience. But went to that Job Corps, finished out. They gave me a option to go back home to Chicago or go live in Atlanta. This was during Outkast, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, that whole album. I was like, I'll go to Atlanta. And, they had Freaknik at the time and all this other stuff. I was like, let me go there. It sounds like a good time. I go there, and one of the first projects I was on is the DoubleTree Hotel right across the street from Olympic Park. And I got a chance to build at least 4 floors of that. We're talking about from popping lines, which is when you use the lines to know where the walls go, to putting up drywall and outside walls. But what happened, I saw an incident happen in construction on the that was a mortality.
Wow.
And I felt like this is not the place where I want to be. So I switched over to the IT. I was in IT for another 7 years, leading up to now. Leading up to a point where I was in IT, and this is where it changed for me to go into consulting. I was sitting in a company called Barclays Capital. It's a financial firm. I was going back and forth with a gentleman who was a trader on the trading floor, and he would always call me, and we would talk, or I'd fix his computer, whatever place. But whenever it was, I would talk to him daily, and he understood that I was very knowledgeable. He understood how I grasped concepts from trading to other business aspects and everything like that. And one day he calls me up there, and I'm thinking he's calling me up there to fix a computer. So I instantly, get up under the desk. He's like, Mike, get up, sit in the chair. So I think I'm in trouble. I'm like, this guy's gonna get me fired. He's like, Mike, I've talked to you over the last 4 months. You know more about trading than some of the guys I work with. You know more about business than anyone I've worked with in this entire building. Your concepts on how you break down problems in a larger form and give us solutions on a small level. I've used some of your solutions on what I'm doing here.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's like, you're not built for being under my desk. You're not built for information technology. You know too much, and you should use it as a consultant. I said, okay, what am I supposed to do then? Because he's like a mentor to me. And he said, next week, I want you to quit this job. I don't want to see you here on Monday. The next following week, I get a phone call at my phone by 8 a.m. Hey, Mike, where are you? I'm at home. You told me to quit the job. He said, what's your bank account information? I send my bank account information. He sends me $5K. He said, this is so you can start your career as a consultant. Whenever you need help from me, whenever you need some type of information or through the door, a referral, I'm here for you. The only reason I gave you this is because you executed exactly what I said for you to do, and you did it without even asking me why.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like a test.
Yeah, it was a test. He wanted to see if I would actually execute.
Right.
He knew I was a person that would do it. He said, in my heart, I knew you would. I just wanted to see if you had the heart to do it. I didn't even ask him a question. When he said, I want you to quit, I went home, made a decision. I said, all right, I'm sending the email so that when Monday morning hits, they'll get that. And I'm just going to figure out what he wants me to do. I was going to do it on my own. I didn't know it was a setup for him to help me be a mentor-mentee relationship. To this day, I still talk to him. We, back and forth. We trade ideas. He comes to me a lot for business and business acquisition ideas. Like he'll come to me like, "Hey, I got an M&A deal that I'm bumping my head on. You think you could look at it?" Merger and acquisitions.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be like, "I got a M&A deal, and I really want you to look at it and see what's going on." And I'll look at it and give him a heads up or some suggestions. And he's like, "Man, I love your thinking, man." So that just poured me into consulting. I started a consulting business and been back and forth on some of the niches that I was in. For a while, it was nonprofits. For a while, it was financial firms. But now I've honed directly in on business development.
Okay.
That's where I am now. So I do a lot of business development. I offer professional services, which is an array of things, but mostly it's been business development and marketing strategy.
Very interesting story, man.
Man, and that's just a little bit of it.
I
man.
know,
Like,
right?
there's so many little details, some things that, like, if we had time, I would give you some stuff. You'd be like, you got to be kidding me.
What's the first thing that comes to mind where it's like, if I gave you time? Because we got some time.
March of 1992, I was in a car with for 4 of my other friends. We were driving around Chicago, Illinois in a Buick 9.8, smoking weed, having a good time, doing what teenagers do.
How old are you at this point?
Man, I'm like 17.
Living the dream.
Living it up, I got kicked out of my mom's house. I'm on my own. I can do what I want to do, so I'm riding around with my fellas.
It's funny how, it doesn't matter the time. Because that's what I was doing at 17.
Yeah. 17, you're like, yeah,
This is
living
life.
it up.
Yeah.
I thought I was grown.
Right,
so,
right.
Mom kicked me out, telling me, I don't need you here, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't really her. It was the man that she was with that kind of influenced her to kick me out. And we talked about it later on. But back to it. So I'm in the car, and the guys are like, "Man, we want to go get something to eat." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm definitely down for that." But as I'm riding in the car, about 2 or 3 minutes later, I reminded myself that I had food back in the refrigerator back where I was at. I was like, "No, I'm not going to spend no money." Hey, guys, take me to the house. They're like, "Dude, come on. We're already." "No, I'm a couple of minutes around the corner. Take me." So they take me to the house. I go upstairs, and I put my food in the microwave, and I look in the refrigerator, and there is not one thing that I want to drink. And I don't know if anyone's ever smoked weed before, but
Everyone has smoked weed.
ice water is not going to do it.
Yeah.
I had this real taste right now and I still to this day I love it, Squirt.
Yeah.
The soda Squirt.
Yeah.
So I wanted
a great
an ice
mixer.
Squirt. So I wanted that, and I'm like, I got to go to the store. So it's March in Chicago. Throw my jacket on, throw my hoodie on, and I walk down the street, make the right so I can get to the store. And as I look in the distance, I see smoke going on. I'm like, what is this now? Because in Chicago, it's always something. I get closer down, and I see the car that I was just in no more than 5-7 minutes ago. They ran smack into the viaduct. The only way the doctors knew who they were was by their teeth.
Oh, my God.
They incinerated.
Oh, my God.
And I tell that story to a lot of kids and everything like that. In places where I go, if Jim Rohn says you're the sum of the 5 friends you hang around,
Yeah.
imagine if I still been in that car. I'd be dead now. I would not be able to tell this story here. So, I tell people all the time, be aware of the people that you have around you. Now, you may not be on that road to physical death, but mental, emotional,
Right.
financial, right, relational, in some type of way, they have you in a car, and if you don't get out soon, you're going to be dead in one of those places in life. And that's where some people are right now. They still in the car burning, because they want to be connected to those people or connected to that situation. They don't have the guts to get out of the car or get out of that situation, so they're burning alive inside that car still.
That's powerful, man. That was me at one point. I think that's a lot of us at one point.
Yeah, every one of us has been in that situation where we felt like we were obligated to a friendship or a relationship or something, and we allowed ourselves to like become belittled and diminished in some type of way, to where, you know, we're just dying on the inside and we want to get out of it, but we don't know how.
Why is that the case? Why can't we make a decision in our brain, or why is it hard to make that decision to say, you know, maybe you're in a group of friends and let's say you want to, you know, get more out of life and all they do is party, smoke weed.
Yep.
Why is it hard to exit and say, you know what, I'm going to go this way instead?
Man, one of the things would be freedom, right? We want the freedom to do what we want. Mm-hmm. And in this moment, I am doing what I want, but I'm attached to something that a lot of us don't understand. There's two types of relationships. And most of the time when we're burning like that, like we talk about in that car, in that metaphorical car, we're burning because we're in either one of the two relationships, either a mutual beneficial relationship or a parasitic relationship. And a lot of times we choose the parasitic because it's easy. I don't have to do much. You don't require much of me. You don't keep me accountable of my BS.
You're comfortable.
You're comfortable. You like the burn. There's a story about what was it? There's a bear in the Arctic, and one of the other little animals walks up and asks his mother, "What is that bear doing?" "Oh, he's licking the ice." She's like, "Why is his tongue burning? There's a knife in it." And he's consistently just licking, but his tongue is burning and it's bleeding. He's like, "Mom, but he's bleeding." And he's like, "Yeah. Why doesn't he stop?" "Because he can't feel it. He's numb from the ice." That's a lot of us right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're bleeding out. We're having a really hard time. You know, we're dizzy. We're all type of things, but we're numb to the pain because possibly from our childhood, we've been doing this for a very long time. We've shut off some of those emotions, those triggers and those things in our head that says you need to get away from this.
And then when you step away, the pain becomes real. And then when it becomes real, it's like, man, I'd rather just go back to being numb because it's almost like gravity.
Yeah.
It's like as you start pulling away, you get pulled back, and it hurts to pull away. But once you break free, you break free.
Could you imagine licking on this one piece of ice with the knife in it, and then you walk away
and it
your
burns.
Tongue stops.
It stops being numb. Yeah.
Now you have to feel that pain of the thing that you did to yourself, and that's the biggest part. I don't want to look myself in the mirror and say you did this to yourself. Like, who wants to be accountable in that level to say everything that you've been through at this moment, everything that you're going through, it's your fault. It's your fault.
Nobody likes accountability.
Yeah, it's your fault your money's like this. It's also your fault your relationship is like this.
Yeah. I would say nobody likes accountability. I'd say it's hard for people to accept accountability.
Yes.
It's a privilege.
Yes. I mean, we don't like the feeling of what it makes.
Oh, no, it sucks. Like, when you're being held accountable and you're like, oh, man, but then it's like, you know what? It's making me better. I appreciate it. Hey, I want to go back to growing up in Chicago.
Yes.
What was the family like? How did you get involved in the friendships, things
stuff.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Family life. So love was shown in their own way. I'm not going to say I wasn't loved, but growing up, and I only learned this later on, growing up with individuals who had children early. My mom had me at 16 years old. She met my father. He was 21 years old, and he never finished school. He didn't have a dad that loved him. So the way they expressed love to me is the only way they knew how. Right? I didn't notice that at the time. I wanted more. I wanted this, you watch TV, I want that type of love.
Right.
I want that Cliff Huxtable love. But this is the only way they knew how to love you. And so I grew up like that. And because of the way in the environment that I was in, it kind of shifted the friends that I would have. At one point or another, I was going that route to where I was going to be just like them. I was picking the same type of friends, very rambunctious, outgoing, having a good old time and being free. doing whatever they want. But like I told you before, I'm a different person. I kept being pulled in the direction of kids who were staying out of trouble, doing things that were better, more fun, and more safer fun than everyone else. And I was okay sometimes being called the lame kid, being the nerd, because I understood early the lame and the nerd is the person that makes money, is the person that's that's not in the principal's book of kids being bad, that doesn't get looked at like a troubled child or anything like that. So I was okay with it after a while. So I would pick my friend. After a while, I picked my friends very carefully. There are a lot of people that I hung out with in school, and a lot of people that I was just associated with. And I started doing it over time too. There was a time where it didn't work for me. Like I told you, when I got kicked out, I had to take care of myself, because it wasn't just me. It was me and my sisters. Me and my two sisters were on the streets. So I had to figure out, how are we going to get each other? How are we going to take care of each other? So, at 16, 17 years old in Chicago, the only thing that you got is the drug game, So this guy introduced me to, some people, and I started doing that. My sisters were doing that, and we just kind of lived our life for a minute and tried to figure out what it looks like to be 16-year-old, 17-year-old adults. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like at this point, you are an adult. You have to take care of yourself. So we're feeding each other. My sisters, man, I love them with all my heart, especially my sister Nisi, Carolyn as well. But there was a time where I just wasn't doing well during this time, and they took care of me. They would come see about me. They would come give me food. They would come make sure that I had things and all that other stuff. Until the moment that I left for Job Corps, they were by my side all the time. So I love the camaraderie and the love that we've always had with each other. We always stuck together. We always loved each other different than everybody else did. But yeah, that environment, it was toxic. My father was a gentleman who grew up around prostitution, pimping, drugs, alcohol. So this was his thing. And then my mom, she grew around the same environments, but she was a young girl, really didn't finish a lot of education and everything like that until later on in her life. And all she knew was, I got these children to take care of. So they were hustling all the time. They were always trying to figure out the next way, the next possible way. And it hurt the relationships with us, and it definitely hurt the relationships with them. But we were able to get through over time, man. And before my mom passed, I had a great relationship with her. Even though I never let the past and the mistakes that she did, hinder me from being a good son to her, and she never let it be to where she couldn't be a good mother to me. Now, I'm not in a relationship directly with my stepfather no more, because of a lot of things that happened over time, and just him not holding himself nor letting anyone else hold him accountable. And I don't operate with men or put myself around men who don't want to be accountable for their problems. Their wrongdoings. I can't do that. I can't sit around that at no point. If you feel like you're always right, or when someone points out you're wrong and you're like, no, that's not, I can't deal with that. I love being around men who are holding each other accountable, and making sure that we're growing. Because if we're not going to hold each other accountable, we're going to be doing things that are going to be hindering our families, our community, ourselves, and I don't want to be a part of that in no type of way.
As a man, you have to be accountable not just for yourself, but your environment and the people around you as a provider. So you have to be accountable, and you have to be on point, because if you're not on point, the people around you suffer.
Yes.
So it's detrimental for your household, for your kingdom.
There's a lot of men who don't understand or can't accept that reality.
And I think it's because it's gotten so much more difficult to have a family, to provide for them, to give them a good life. So they're just kind of like, let's just go the complete opposite direction. Let's get on the other side of the scale.
So I'm the CEO of the One Unified Resource Foundation, which we do mentorship, holistic mentorship for young men and for mature men as well. And the reason I'm in there is because of the one thing I think that accountability that's missing, the all of that stuff. There's one element that has been in our lives for a very long time that keeps us from growing. It is that mentality that as you're growing up, stop crying, man up. This is not, stop being a pussy and all this other stuff, man. we get suppressed so much as a young kid, and we're leaned upon to produce at all levels, produce good grades, produce as an athlete.
Results.
Everything is results driven for a man.
As a man, your value is based on the results you provide.
The moment you cannot,
you lose value.
You're no less.
You lose value
than the thing that whatever they put you with. And now that you've lost value, now you're getting defensive, or you get angry, and then they look at you like, oh, you're a troubled child, or you're a troubled person, but you don't remember or you're weak, and that's the biggest thing now. And I think that thinking that environment as we were growing up, I think that took us into a very bad space, and we can't hold ourselves accountable, because the moment we hold ourselves accountable, now I have to cry. Now I have to be weak. Right. Now I have to be vulnerable because I did wrong. And now that I'm wrong in your eyes, whoever it is I'm trying to impress, I have to face that. And that means I have to face my feelings, which I've never been taught to face my feelings. I'm supposed to keep those inside and go forward. I think it's a correlation between men who are in touch with who they are, what's going on with them, can cry from time to time and get that feeling out so that they can move on to the next level, are men who can take accountability and move forward and do the things that they need to do. But when you're just constantly just holding that in, you don't want to be held accountable, because I'm weak at that. That's a weakness. That's me being vulnerable. Yes, I was wrong. Yes, I did this. I'm so sorry. That don't sound right to a person who is called a masculine man. Now you see me. You see my weakness. There's a problem with this, because I've done this as a little kid, and I had to hold it in. Like this one problem that continuously plagues my life, you see it, and you called it out on me. Who are you to do that? To call me out on my problem?
Let me ask you this: as a CEO, you have to be a leader of a company and of people and a vision. And is it okay to show signs of weakness as a leader?
Yes.
Explain.
As a leader, you need to make sure that everyone around you understands that this title does not make me in a higher status than you. I'm still the same human just like you. I feel, I make mistakes, all those things. I need you to see me as the same human you are. I just got put in a position because I know how to lead us in the right direction. I can see the path better than you. So you can follow me to a certain point. And sometimes at a certain point, I can't see any further. So I got to make sure that one of you is learning the same type of skills that I'm learning, because you might be the person to lead everybody to the next part of this path. So I need everyone to understand around me that I'm no better than you. Just because I have Dr. Michael Burks, that doesn't mean that it's a piece of paper. That means I just went a little further with my education on a certain subject. It does not make me better than you. None of this does. The only thing that this says is I'm able to lead us to a certain point. And one day, I'm going to have to step down as leader because I can't get us any further, and one of you are going to have to take my place. Now, the person that understands that we're equals, that we can get through this together, is the person I usually am thinking about succession plan for.
So I think the definition of weakness can be manipulated, right? So weakness is what you're saying is, hey, we're both human, we're both men. I make mistakes.
Yep.
I don't see that as weakness. I see that as being human.
Yes.
Weakness, I think, in my definition, would be like someone, let's say, not producing results because they're having problems with their family.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, you're the leader. You're supposed to provide results. You're having issues at home, whatever it may be, and now that's affected the results. Is that acceptable?
Yes. To me it is, because the only way it's acceptable to me, this is what I'll say, the only way it's acceptable to me is if you're able to say, hey, I'm in a very bad space right now. Can you take over? Right? Being okay with letting someone else take over for the moment. I am in a very weak position. My thinking is not clear. My decision making is not clear. and I know you can handle this. Can you do this for me for a moment while I get myself back in order? I just need you for this much time. Yes, that's cool. And you allow yourself to be available for questions and concerns so that they can understand where they're going. That's what leadership a lot of times is stepping down for a moment and letting someone else shine in your spotlight. A friend of mine taught me that. David Shands. I don't know if you know Sleep is for Suckers. He does the Social Proof podcast. David Shands, before he did the Social Proof podcast, I met him at his kiosk in Cumberland Mall in Atlanta. He sold T-shirts that were called "Sleep is for Suckers." Real good concept. It was all about being a boss and just working until you can't you can't operate no more. I was at the kiosk and I asked him, because I was in a mentorship program with a gentleman where I loved what he was doing, loved what was going on, but I wanted to excel. I wanted to go further. And he looked at me, he said, Mike, sometimes it's not your time and you need to learn how to shine in someone else's spotlight. And I didn't understand it fully then, what he was talking about. But as I grew, as I moved forward, I understand that sometimes as a leader, you may not be the front runner. You may just need to be the guy that can make the other guy ahead of you shine brighter.
The flag carrier.
Man.
That's what we call it.
Yeah. I
mean, a flag carrier.
A rocket it can only go so far with the boosters on the side. Then they have to come off. If you try to go any further with those boosters on, you'd never make it out of the atmosphere. Sometimes most of us have to understand we might just be boosters. We might just be propelling the rocket to a certain level. It doesn't mean you're invaluable, because without the boosters, it would make it to a certain level so it can get to that higher level.
It's like being Klay Thompson.
Oh, man. Be Klay. It's okay. Be a role player.
One of the best shooters in history.
And people won't say
player.
it out loud.
Yeah.
But Klay is an awesome role player. He understands who he's supposed to be. Like, some people are great at understanding, I'm a role player, let me go out and make sure this happens. Other people are so hell-bent on being the number one, they'll hinder the entire team.
I see. I don't think that's weakness, though. I think that's knowing how to play your part.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, weakness is in its perception.
Like, let me say this. Like, Kobe Bryant never showed weakness. Would you agree?
Yes.
See, that's the mentality I admire.
But
which is
if
tough.
You're good,
it's tough.
There's a part in there where he shows the weakness.
Explain.
One part.
I would say it was when he sent that. I think it was when he tore his Achilles and he knew it was over, and he wrote that letter on social media. I think that was
even before then. He showed his ability, his non-ability, to allow you to know any fault in his game. It drove him to create Mamba mentality. Like, I got to create this thing. I have to go further. I have to go harder. Think about the time they talked about when he was in the gym, right? And one of the other players came in, and Kobe was in there, he getting it in, game speed, shooting around, everything like that. The other guy comes in, and he starts practicing. Now, the other guy finishes, and he's ready to leave. Kobe makes it his mission to practice just that much more. And then he asked me the next day, why were you going so hard? Why'd you stay there? Because I had to show you that I'm willing to work harder than you. His weakness is, I care about what you think of me.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So he created Mamba mentality, who he is, how he works, how he operates, because he cared how people thought of him as an athlete. And now I created this new persona, this thinking, which was great. It is amazing. Like, I want to dissect it myself and try and get some of that myself. But that was his weakness. Obsession with knowing and you knowing that I'm better than you. You'll never be as good as I am. And that's a weakness. But it's not a bad weakness. It's a good weakness. This is the problem with most people.
Like Michael Jordan, his weakness is being like ultra competitive in everything, like golf, gambling, and it's like,
if people would have dissected Mike's mentality and how competitive he was, they probably could have beat him. Like, think about using his competitive
Against him.
against him.
Right.
That was the way to beat him.
Or like Russell Westbrook.
Oh my God.
Like, he's just like
that
a
kid is
soldier.
amazing.
Like
Yeah.
a soldier, all out, sold out, but it was a weakness.
Yeah.
That's
I'm here for the team.
That's interesting.
Yeah. You just have to understand, words don't just have one meaning.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not one dimensional, right? Just because someone says you are aggressive doesn't have to mean that's an evil or bad thing. Being aggressive sometimes comes in handy,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are words that people use that they're just, when you hear it, the first thing you think is a negative tone to
Mm-hmm.
it. You have to understand there's two sides to the word. There's two sides to every story. There's duality in this world. It just depends on how you look at it, and that's a mentality thing, right? Do I look at everything in a negative aspect, or can I see the positive in most things? And that's the kicker. Sometimes people succeed because they see the positive in every piece, everything.
That can also be, we're going to seeing the positive and being too optimistic.
Yeah, and you have to have a balance, right? Understanding. I told a friend of mine one time, he was like, man, how are you able to keep this even tone, keel, your vibe and everything like that? Because I understand that while things are good right now, sooner or later there's a storm to come.
Facts.
I got to be
There's
ready
always a
for
storm
it.
brewing.
Now, once I get in the storm, I don't panic. I get through the storm, because if you panic, you can't think your way through the problem.
Yeah.
But I'm
Logic
alwa-
goes out the window.
But I'm also knowing in the storm, it's going to get good in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always aware for the next, because everything's in a cycle. I have to keep it even keel, because when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. Just take care of it. When it's good, enjoy the good. When it's in the bad, solve the bad. And if you have that thinking, life won't surprise you. Life won't put you in these places where you're having high anxiety and I don't know how to do this and I can't do that. Bro, everything is solvable in good and in bad. Just figure out where you are in life and just relax. Sit back and look at it. I'm not super spiritual, right? And most people aren't neither. And there are some people that believe in certain things. But there's a story in the Bible about, when the disciples came to Jesus and was like, yo, there's a storm coming. Like, it's going to flip us over. Jesus gets up with a calm voice. Gee, I told you what to do. I told you could talk to the storm, but let me show you how to do it. He does that, walks out on the water, and asks one of them to get out on the water. How calm do you have to be in the middle of a storm to go walk out on water? How calm do you have to be? That this means nothing to me.
Mm.
Right? So you have to take that same thinking when it comes to life's problems, business, relationships, friendships, all that. Stay calm. The solution will present itself to you, and that's how I operate with consulting. Right? We go back to my consulting. I don't panic. Okay, so a person calls me. Oh my God, this and that. Da, 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 da. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Give me a little moment. I'm gonna come back with a solution for you. Just relax, sir. And I come back with a solution. He's like, I don't know how you do it, because none of this shakes me.
When you are calm, clear, the clarity of your thinking just unravels itself, and thoughts just come to you. And I used to panic, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah.
And I realized if I just stay calm, things just the idea just pops in my head, and it's the craziest thing.
So two things. One, I wasn't always calm. I just want everybody to know that I was not always calm. I was not always this kid that was like this, but I was angry all the time. So I had to learn how to control my anger, and that's where the calm came from. But the second part is later on in life, even we're talking about recent, this new calmness that I have, this new character that I have, learned from watching this show. I watched a show called SEAL Team, and there's this dude who's Bravo 1. His name is Jason Hayes. He had just lost his wife, having a really bad argument in time with his daughter, and he was sitting on the couch from a long day, and she had walked up to say apologize and all this other stuff, and he had his picture in his hand, and he was like, what's that? And he showed the picture to her. He said, what, is there a story behind that? He's like, come with me. Jumps in the car, takes them to this tree, and he's telling them this story in order to lead to it. And this is the story that helped me understand how to handle things. He said he was on a 50-foot rock face in Bud's training, and he could never get up this obstacle. It was weeks, and he still couldn't get up the obstacle. And his drill instructor asked him, "Do you understand why you can't get up this obstacle?" He said, "No, Sergeant." He said, "Because you're always thinking about the end result. You're thinking about the top. If you worry about the 3 feet around you, the things that you can touch, and you work 3 feet by 3 feet all the way to the top, you'll eventually get to the top of this obstacle." Sure enough, he implemented what the sergeant told him. He got to the top of the obstacle, right? Most people are always worried about the end result.
Yeah.
If you just worry about the things that you can control,
Day to day. In front of you.
what can I control? What can I do? What can I physically put my hands on and maneuver in my benefit, and let the other stuff just fall into place? Because if it's out of your reach, then it's out of your hands. So that's how I operate now. If it's not within my reach, if it's not within my 3 feet, then I don't touch it. And that's how I get success now. That's how you do it. I mean, it's with anything. Think about football. Football is not about touchdowns. It's about first downs.
Right.
If you start from one end and get enough first downs, you'll reach the end zone. You don't see people throwing the ball all the way to the end zone the whole game. No, they're trying to get 3, 5, 7 yards at a time. Run the clock. Run the clock, man. Run the clock, everyone.
I love it. How did you start your path to becoming a doctor, and what degree did you get your doctorates in?
Oh, man. I got my degree in business with a focus on operations and management. But I got my degree so that I can show my children that it's possible for a African-American male to reach the highest level of education. There's nobody in my family that's done it. I'm the first at this moment, if not the only, that has ever went that far. I did it for my children. I didn't do it for me. Like when people I had to get used to people calling me Dr. Burks. It wasn't something I did for you to call me that, or for those purposes. I wanted my children to understand that education is easy. You can do it. It's possible. So I had started my journey on it a while back when I had my first child, and it became that goal. Like, all right, Dr. Burks is good, because if my children see that, if they hear that, they're like, "Dad, what does that mean? What is it?" The questions start coming. I can explain to them what I did and how much effort it took, how much work it took. Because you hear a lot about the doctorate program, and yes, it is, very challenging. But anything that doesn't have a challenge behind it is not worth it, right? So now my children, they see the degree on the wall, and they hear people call me Dr. Burks. They see a lot of things change in our life, in places where we go. And they're like, "Man, Dad, is that because of?" Yes, it is because of. And that was the journey, man. It was only because of my children. It wasn't for me, but it's benefited me, right, in places where I can do business, and people kind of give me a different level of respect. But that journey started from my first child, Dolores, when I saw her and knew that I had to do something different. And then the other reason was my mother. I had just recently, after she passed, realized that everything that I've been doing my entire life was to impress my mother. Everything, getting married, writing books, all these things, it had been to impress my mom, to give her something to say, "Hey, my son does this."
Right.
When she talks to her friends and everything, "Hey, my son does this, he's doing that," giving her some reason to boast about her son. And then the moment she passed, I kind of realized that now I have to figure out how to impress myself. So during the pandemic, I impressed myself. I said, I'm not going to let this pandemic pass me up without finishing this degree. I told my mom I was going to get it. I told my I was going to get it for my kids, so I finished it. And during the pandemic, I finished it out, man.
Well, congrats.
I appreciate it. It works, man. It put me in some really great places, man. You never, and it wasn't until a friend of mine asked me a question that I started using it for personal advancement. Someone asked me a question one time, and you don't get this question often with anything else, but it just shook me. She said, "What are you going to do with your degree?" And I was like, man, people don't ask you that when you get a master's or an associate's. That is the only time they ask you, "What are you going to do with your degree?" Is when you get a doctorate. What are you going to do with your doctorate? And I was like, man, I need to figure that out, I guess. And I took a 3-month sabbatical from everything, kind of figure out what was I going to do next. What am I going to use this degree for? Whose life am I going to change other than my children? Because that's where I got it for.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out and made a plan, a strategy to change young men's lives in sports, entertainment, and just in my community. So I create opportunities for young men to get marketing deals, to get training, to get mentorship, whatever it is that I can do to help young men in my community and in other communities to advance. I'm using my degree to do that.
I love it, and I want to get into that because I was watching some of your content.
Yeah.
But before, I want to kind of stick to the story and dig deeper in regards to IT. So
Yes.
you were doing IT.
Mm-hmm.
You were working at you said for like 9 years?
I was doing consulting there. I was doing consulting during the IT stuff. So I was at places like J.P. Morgan, Barclays Capital. I was in.
So you're in the financial world doing IT.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were able to get a mentor. How did that relationship kind of go? How did you meet? How did that develop? Was it your first mentor? Yeah, was it your first mentor ever?
I think that, no, my first mentor would have been Nichelle Manuel in my my Microsoft Access class.
Okay.
Microsoft Access was like a database tool.
Is that Job Corp?
No, that wasn't in Job Corp. That was in college. That was in my
Okay.
first college, yeah. But Nichelle Manuel, Dr. Nichelle Manuel, I'm sorry. Dr. Nichelle Manuel.
Come on, doctor.
I know, right? She'll get on me. She will get on me if she heard me say it without that. But Dr. Nichelle Manuel, I was in the classroom, and it was me and another friend of mine by the name of Darius Callahan. We were in the classroom, and we were just excelling at everything. And one time we were coming out of the classroom, and she said, "Hey, you guys stay back for a second." And she kind of said, "Hey, you guys are just a little more advanced than these kids. You should probably start a consulting agency together." And I'm talking about the next day, I'm in the computer lab creating a logo and website and everything like that. So while we were in school, that was the first mentorship that I had that helped me start my first consulting gig.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't last for long. It lasted for, I ran that business for a year. It was called New Way Consulting, New Way Technology. So a new way to offer technology services. I created the logo and everything like that, and my first client was a place called the Matthew House. It is a nonprofit that in Chicago that offered services to people who just got out of prison. I helped them build network infrastructure in there, and I created a program where I helped men who got out of prison to build a resume and do a job search. Wow, I guess I've been working with men for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first real mentor, Dr. Nichelle Manuel. Then after that became Paul from Barclays Capital.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting him was just by chance. You know, he was just one of the clients on the site that just seemed to have a bunch of problems with his computer. You know what I mean? He was always inside my ticket. He was always inside my tickets, right? And Paul, after a while, would ask for me because, one, I dressed like a professional on site. I didn't dress like with jeans and stuff like that. I would have slacks on, a polo, and I was up under with dress shoes on, the whole deal. And I was always in some type of professional manner, even under people's desk. And he kind of liked that. He loved that I would come there on the trading floor looking like someone that belonged on a trading floor.
Right.
He complimented me on that plenty of times. And then, we had conversations sometimes because I would ask him questions about what he's doing and trying to understand. And then I would come back with information with him. He's like, "How do you understand that?" I was like, I just looked it up.
What type of questions would he ask? Like
what type of questions I was asking? So one day, because at Barclays Capital, we had access to the same news they did. And I was watching it. And I think what triggered it is there was a tsunami in Southeast Asia or something like that. And I came to him, I said, that tsunami in Southeast Asia, did that affect distribution of these three products? Because they have a port over there and that's where the product comes from.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Yes, it did." He said, "Why'd you ask that?" I was like, I looked and I saw that the stock was going down all this morning. He was like, "So you understand a little bit differently. So let me help you out a little bit more." So he helped me understand that through that questioning, that something happening in Southeast Asia, this event on the port where distribution of a product that was supposed to make it to the U.S. can affect the markets.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know this, you can trade the markets.
Right.
So he was like, your thinking is a little different. I got to keep you nearby. Let's do lunch. And we're talking, and he's teaching me about, some of teaching me about pips and looking at candlesticks and just asking me questions here and there, seeing if I'm going to do the homework and learning little things at a time. And then he would talk to me about things that affect business from a financial level. He was in what I told you, merchants and acquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
So just understanding, profit, going online and how to look for the budgets and looking for their income statements and everything like that, and looking at an income statement and understanding if a company is in trouble. To this day, I can go in a public company and look at their income statement and their balance sheet and everything, and I can tell whether or not if they're in trouble or not, right? And then I go into the market and kind of look at some of the things the CEO has been talking about. No, I just analyzing data and be like, yeah, this is something that we need to step into. So that was the beginning of that mentorship, and we would talk back and forth, and he would give me knowledge, and then it moved from just regular knowledge to high-level knowledge, how to talk to certain people. If you're ever going to meet up with a CEO, what are some of the conversations are you going to have? And he taught me a very valuable lesson that I used later on. Someone asked me why I did it. So I'll tell the story and then get into the reason why I did it. I was in a place where Dr. Eric Thomas, I was working for him.
E.T.?
Yeah. I
What?
Yeah,
The
bro.
hip-hop preacher?
Yes, sir. I worked for him when
That
he was
dude's
down here.
phenomenal.
He did the 1%. He did the 1% More tour here, and I was on the team helping him out here for that. And there was an opportunity to talk to him and to talk to not Carl, but CJ. CJ was walking out. So I talked to E because I had a question for him. And then someone asked me, why didn't you ask Carl, not Carl, but CJ a question? I said, I don't have a question for CJ. Because CJ was with Josh, and I could have easily got over there and asked him questions. I don't have a question for either one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have $1 million question. Like, he taught me, be aware of the person you're about to talk to, and if you should be talking to them at the moment. If you're about to walk up on a millionaire, taking a picture of them is not valuable to you.
Right. That's a really good point, because I've been, starting to come around some of these rooms, and I'm like, I don't really need to just talk to him if I don't have any.
There's no value in it.
There's no purpose.
And if I can't add value to him in return, there's no reason to waste that man's time right now. I know I have access to him. I can get to him on another time. This opportunity will come again. But right now, I'm not ready to say anything to him. And I love being able to discern that. There are rooms I'm going to talk to someone, and I know for a fact that me and this person can mutually benefit in life.
Mm-hmm.
And if I see a multimillionaire and they're in a space where I don't have a question for them, I'm not just going to walk up and introduce myself and, hey, can we take this picture, or any of those things that most people do, because there's no value in it for me or for him.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, multimillionaires, billionaires, all these people, the relationships are about value.
Right.
How can we work together to build on our dreams and make something happen from here? How we take our creativity and build something great.
That's good.
If you don't have that, man, just don't waste their time nor yours.
So you get that $5,000 deposit in your bank, and you start consulting.
Yeah.
Like, how do you just start consulting? Because you just quit your job. What's going on at this point?
Yeah. So I used like 2,000 of it to make sure bills are taken care of. And what I did was I just hit the ground running. I bought.
How long ago was this?
Huh?
How long ago was this?
Man, so long ago. This is early 2000s.
Okay.
Early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, I got to pay bills first. So let me pay bills.
The reason why I was like $2,000 for bills, and I'm like calculating how much, because bills right now is like $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
But back early 2000s,
back then,
they got you a couple months.
Yeah, it got me a couple of months.
Yeah.
I was doing pretty good. The apartment I was in was like $475, and I didn't have many expenses or anything like that. Yeah.
$475.
It was good.
Great times. Yeah, good
Good
times. Yeah.
times. there was extra money in our pocket during those
Yeah.
times. We could do some things. But yeah, I was like, all right, let me pay some bills up, and then I need to figure out exactly what to do to move forward. So I made a call to him. I said, I just need you for 5 minutes. He said, okay, what you need? Asked him, what are some of the first things I need to do right now? What are the first steps? And he gave them to me. I said, all right, cool, thanks. Didn't call him back for another 10 months, I think. But first thing was, go get the bank account, right? Go get an EIN. At the time, I wasn't aware of LLCs and all this other stuff. I just used the EIN. Got the EIN, created the bank account, put the money in there so I could be able to use it. Bought some tools that I needed in order to do my job, like Microsoft Office, and bought me a new laptop because I needed a work one, and the personal one I didn't want to use. And then what I did was I created a work email for myself and started emailing. I started researching and emailing nonprofits and small businesses and talking to them about the IT services that I can provide, the stuff that I knew that I can do. Do you need network infrastructure put together? Do you need Microsoft Office training? Do you need a database put together? These are things I knew that I could do. And I was able to build out, I replaced his $5,000 with $5,000 a month coming in clients. That's all I did. That was my goal. That $5,000 he gave me, I was like, that was good. I can use that monthly and have a buffer. That was the goal. So I said, let me get clients to where I'm going to make $5,000 a month. So I ended up getting like one client for $1,000 and two for like another $2,000, and I was good for like 10 or 12 months because I didn't sign small contracts. It was like you either did a 1 year, 2 year, or 5 year contract with me. All of them did a 1 year contract with me because I was new to them. So that was it, man. I was making $5,000 a month in my first year as a consultant, but I was just only one man. My other friend, he really didn't gravitate to that. You have to understand there are people in this world who are entrepreneurs, and there are people who are workers. They're worker bees. You can't bring a person who's a worker bee, a person who loves that infrastructure in on business because they don't understand how this operates. They can't go and they don't understand that eat what you kill lifestyle. They can't deal with it.
Yeah.
And I had to let them go and let them go ahead and do it. And then it was just me handling these 3 clients. So at a time where I couldn't do it, and I just had a new baby. Later on in it, I was like, I just got to let this go and go back to work. So I dissolved the company at the end of our contracts. I trained them on what I was doing for them so they can move forward and do it themselves. And then I went on to get me a job at Ogilvy and Mather, which was a marketing company. And I think that was really the start of why I love marketing, because being in that environment was just awesome. Just learning how advertisements are made and creativity and all that stuff. But yeah, I got out of that and went straight to a company called Ogilvy and Mather and worked that for another 2 years, I think.
And then how did you come back to your business?
To business? I had been doing it off and on. I tried to do some remote stuff for people for a while. That wasn't working. I was in a relationship that was very volatile, and it wouldn't allow me to grow in my entrepreneurial space. So, a lot of times it just wasn't working. It wasn't until I got here 12 years ago that my wife that I'm with now gave me the space to be who I am, to be an entrepreneur, to create opportunities for my family. And that was when 12 years ago I started consulting, and I haven't looked back since.
So how did you decide to come to Dallas?
So we were talking about this with some friends of mine earlier today. I met my wife in a Facebook group, the late 2000s. If anybody had Facebook groups back in those days, some of them were a little raunchy, a little grown. I met her in there, and we were friends for 2 years, even outside the group. And towards the end of the 2 years, she said, hey, I'm going to come visit you, because we were really trying to get close at that time. We were talking about what would it look like to be together. She said, I'm coming to see you. I said, okay, cool. Come on to Chicago. I'll show you a good time. She comes to Chicago, and I show her a great time. We can go to a bunch of great places and have a good time. So the day that she's about to leave, she's crying. She's at the airport crying, bawling. And I asked her, I said, what's the problem? She said, I wish you were coming home with me. Right? So I'm a man of words. She didn't say, I wish you were, coming back with me, or I wish you were coming to Dallas. She said home.
Mm-hmm.
To me, home is where you're supposed to be. As a man, you love to hear to come home.
Yeah.
So I told her that day, I was like, okay, well, when I come to Dallas, I'll come to stay. She didn't think I was serious. That was in July. No, that was in June. August, I'm there. Because she said, hey, you coming to Dallas? I got the ticket for you. I come here, and I bring all my stuff with me. I'm saying, I'm here. This is it. It's me and you. So
What year is this?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been here since 2015.
How do you like it?
I love Dallas. I love it. Dallas has given me an opportunity to be who I've always wanted to be. Chicago is great. I love my city. But the opportunity for entrepreneurship at the time just wasn't as open as it was, right?
Yeah.
Here
it's thriving.
It's thriving. Even now, it's even more about thriving because of the entrepreneurship bug that everybody has. But I've been able to just be who I am here, and people are the people that I've attached myself to are just pouring into me and be like, Mike, man, I love the way you think, I love the way you operate, and they're opening up opportunities for me, and I'm able to open up opportunities for them.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a lot of mutual relationships over time that have been getting me. And then, there's a lot of great things to do here. A lot of people don't take out the time to really just go online and trying to find some of the great things to do here. You just do the same thing over and over again. Dallas has so many amazing. Some of them are even free.
Yeah.
Yeah, to just have fun, man. And there's like the gaming museum.
Mm-hmm.
There is. I love you guys' aquarium here.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome place. I love the zoo. I love the parks. I love it all. The only thing I don't love about this place, people, is the heat. This place is crazy. When I first got there, I took the garbage out for my wife. It was like 10 o'clock. It was like 90-something degrees.
Yeah.
I told my wife, I said, why? Why is it 90 degrees at 10 o'clock? It should be cool outside. I should have to put a hoodie on to take the garbage
Yeah, but
out.
Chicago's just like freezing.
I'll take that.
Nah.
I'll take that. I can't do it. It's so hot here. Sometimes it's miserably hot. And I pray, and I'm so glad and grateful that God's put me in positions where I'm always in the AC.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I need to have, like, air conditioning is one of the greatest inventions. It's like internet and air conditioning.
That's it. Man, give me my internet, my phone, and the AC, and don't bother me for a few hours.
I love it. So what are you in right now? What are the businesses you're involved in? What is it that you got going on?
Oh, wow. So 1120 Ventures, we do professional services, open up opportunities in entertainment, sports, and business. One client of ours, one partnership that we have right now is 5430 Alliance, which is the NIL collective for Colorado University.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have about 120 athletes, and helping them get corporate partnerships for NIL deals through that collective. So we partnered with them and helping out with those type of things. I've partnered with a few ex-pro ball players to help them with helping them build their brand and build out some speaking engagements and things of that sort. Individuals like Ty Ellis, who used to play for the Sacramento Kings, helped out with the USA basketball team and stuff like that. Me and him are working together. I have worked with did work with a guy named Igor. He did professional training.
Mm-hmm.
He introduced me to a lot of people. We were able to get a contract with the Texas Rangers with that. The DLC from NWA, worked closely with him on building out some community projects and everything like that. So right now we're working a lot with marketing deals and business development deals. Outside of that, outside of the consulting company, on my personal side, building up to some of the things I want to do over the next 15 to 20 years, I'm working on a development project in South Dallas, trying to build some infrastructure out there, bring some more money to the area so that area can thrive. And then outside of that, man, just really focused on the mentorship programs that we are implementing. We do an 8-week mentorship program in Mesquite Middle School. We teach a framework, financial literacy, relationship management, appearance, mental and emotional awareness, and execution. They go through 8 weeks. So the first week is like introduction, then they go through the core program, and then we go through some implementation and some personal coaching, if you may, with those young men. And it's doing pretty well. We're in our third year of it, and we're getting great results from the kids, man. Some of the parents are hitting us up and like, man, my son's changed and he's different.
Wow.
He's doing this. And that's the biggest part. I love the teachers are good, but I love when we get some type of feedback from a parent, because that means it's not just working in the school, it's working back at home.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
That's impactful, man. I like the classes you were saying. So appearance.
Yep. So financial literacy,
Super important.
relationship and management,
Super important.
appearance,
Super important.
mental and emotional awareness,
Super important.
and as a man,
Execution, because that's what provides results.
That's it.
What type of what excites you right now?
Like, excites me to work with, or to just in any general.
In general.
Being a father.
Okay, why?
I don't know if I can ever explain it. Being a father, watching my sons or my daughters or any one of my children just ask me a question, and me and be able to provide information or a resource. Me being there for a football game, being there for when you're going through something. I mean, even the arguments, I'm okay with, even with the arguments when they don't like me, right? I'm okay with that. Being a father it's not rewarding to other people, but to me, I love it. It excites me. I have 2 boys right now. My son Michael, who plays football for Woodrow Wilson, and then my son Matthew, who's a middle schooler, and he plays basketball and football. But to see these guys kind of mimic me sometimes, and to know that I'm in a better place now, and they're showing me that the work that I'm doing is worth it.
Yeah.
Because they could have went a different route. I could have been that kid from Chicago that still would have been a gangbanger, still been a ruffian, still being rambunctious, and they would have been that type of kid because they'd have followed me. But for them to look at me and think about success in a different way, for my son to, hit me up and be like, hey, Dad, I want to do this, I want to do that. What does that entail? And I give it to him, or my little one, I want to dress like Dad. Mom, could you buy clothes like this? Or can you do this? Can you do my hair like them just wanting to be me? That's the part I love. That means I'm being a good father, that I'm showing them, because I know that me being a positive individual, it's rubbing off on them, and now I don't have to worry about them, because if they want to be me, I have to just keep being me in this space. And that's one of the things that most men don't understand. The guy you are is the kid that you see.
Explain that. The guy you are is the kid that you see.
Yeah. That if you're not an individual that's holding yourself accountable, treating the people around you right, having great relationships, financially responsible, mentally and emotionally stable, right, executing on all your goals and everything that you want to do, what do you think your children are going to do? These are boys who want to be like their dad. They're going to follow what they see.
Right.
So if you're not the man that you want to be at the moment, just know that the children that you are looking at are a product of it.
More is caught than taught.
Man, you're a product of your environment when you're a child, right? And if you create a better environment, then you'll create a better child.
Yeah.
Most times.
Right.
We have to understand that children are human as well.
Right.
And a lot of us have to make our own decisions. But it's hard to make bad decisions when a lot of good decisions are happening in your presence.
Yeah. That's interesting. What are you excited about in business right now?
In business, I want to work with young athletes who just come into the league. I want to work with young athletes who just come in. I want to work with them on a very personal and one-on-one level. I want to help them both on the emotional and mental side and the business side. I want to just both of those at the same time. I want to make sure that we're not making bad decisions as an athlete, right? We got a lot of money, we got a lot of opportunity, we got all this and that. Let's not squander it with childish thinking or childish ways, or
It's tough.
It's tough.
Being young and getting a.
But the problem is having yes men around you.
Yeah.
People who are okay with saying, yeah, do that because their check is involved in it. I don't care if my check's involved with it. No, don't do that. I'm going to be your surrogate father figure for a moment to let you know that is not the right thing to do. Now, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to be the voice of reason. Do not do that. Don't go that route. Don't post that thing. Don't say this thing. Don't go with those people. Do this and do that. Those things are better for your brand. And then on the other side of it, putting them in a place where they understand contracts, understand their business moves, understanding that if they have a platform, they can use it for some of the dreams that they have of their own. Some of those guys have great dreams,
Yeah.
but no one's helping them put those dreams in place.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, hey, go out there, play basketball,
It's
man,
just
we
a
got
dream.
this. Yeah, and it'll just be that sometime. I want to help them build out the best life possible from the platform that they're in, football or basketball. And it's going to be difficult. There are guys that's going to fight the process, but I'm not there for that. I heard a story one time, and this is the reason why I do things in the manner that I do, and I'm okay with who does and doesn't. A man was standing at a pier up here, and he's looking out, and there's this little kid walking on a beach. The kid notices there are starfish far as the eye can see. The kid is like he looks super sad. The guy looks over at him, and the kid bends down, picks up one of the starfish, throws it into the water.
Mm-hmm.
The man yells out to him, "You can't save them all."
Mm.
The kid yells back, "But I can save that one." I'm not there for every athlete to listen to me, just the ones that will listen. But E.T. them told me one time, your sheep know your voice. You're not here for everybody.
Right.
But the people who are there to hear you, that God is putting in place for you, they'll hear you, they'll listen, and they'll do what you ask.
Yeah.
You just got to be okay with talking until you find that sheep. And it may take a while. It may take years, and it may happen in the first day. That's just how I operate, man.
It's an abundance mindset.
Yeah. It took a while to get to this point. Not going to lie. It took a while to get to this point. I'm 47 now. And it took a while to accumulate this type of thinking, this type of mindset. But once you get to it, it is so relaxing. Because you don't have money is not a worry to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can create money because I'm a person who can create opportunities to make money. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about relationships because I'm a good person to me and to the people around me, and I will attract great relationships.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of worry. So the abundance mindset is, as long as I keep being me and the best me that I can in every environment that I step in, it'll all fall into place. I'm not worried about it.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I have a couple potential connections for you now that I know a little bit more about what you do.
Man, I appreciate it, man.
What questions do you have for me?
Why podcasts? Why this time? You strike me as an individual who loves conversation, loves to be out, learn about people. And you're very attentive at the conversation. There's a lot of people that can go through 20 minutes of talking and go back to one specific thing and be your conversation, the way you operate on that level is different. Why podcast? Why did you choose podcast?
So I remember being a kid and being on YouTube, and I didn't like TV because it had commercials. So when like YouTube came out, I was like, this is freaking cool, no commercials.
Yeah.
And I kept seeing Joe Rogan's podcast, and it was like 3 hours, 4 hours, and I'm like, nobody's watching this video.
Yeah.
I was like, nobody's watching this video. And then I saw he had an episode with, I think it was like Kid Cudi or like Steve-O.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, these are people I know.
Yeah.
So I clicked them, and I just kept fast forwarding. I was like, there's no way they're just talking for 3 hours. And they were just talking for 3 hours.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I was like, nobody listens to this. And then I started listening to it, and I was like, obviously, people are listening to it because it kept popping up. And this is probably in like 2010. So it was like a while ago. And I would just slowly became obsessed with it. Was always obsessed with comedy.
Yeah.
Like I love comedy.
I do.
Like
I do.
I remember being like a kid and like listening to like Dave Chappelle falling asleep. Like I'd be in middle school, like young kid, and I would listen to Dave Chappelle or like Gabriel Iglesias.
Yep.
Like I would just listen to them. This is like when YouTube was out, so I could go to YouTube and watch their specials. And I would just listen to them over and over and over again while I would sleep. And that was like a form of podcasting to me. And then started following this guy named Patrick Bet-David.
Patrick is awesome.
And Patrick, his interviews were like so different than Joe Rogan's.
Yes.
Like I was like, yo, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so my vision with this is it's a mix of 3 different things, right? It's Joe Rogan's podcast. Like I want these to be 3-4 hours long one day. But right now, studio time, right?
Yeah.
We're budgeting.
We're always on the budget, people.
So we'll get there. And then so I want it to be a mix of Joe Rogan, Patrick Bet-David, and then there's another guy named Andrew Schultz. So I love Andrew Schultz.
Yes.
Like Flagrant, their podcast, I freaking like. I love that show, and I love the concept of just being with your boys and just fucking around.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
like just shooting the shit. So like I want there to be a mix of a lot of things. So I want to have interviews like this.
Yep.
I want to have conversations like this, meet new people, hear their stories, promote them, hear about what they got going on, and just. I didn't realize this is what it's called, but it's the Mr. Beast effect. You know Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
So all he does is just give.
Yeah.
He just gives. Everything he gets, he just gives, and he becomes super rich.
I'm talking about. I don't understand it.
I don't understand
it. Happens.
And he was talking about how he's going to run for president one day, but he's going to have no money because he's just going to give it all away.
Yeah.
So nobody could sue him, and it's like he like it sounds like an evil genius almost.
Yeah, the guy is. He
Genius.
He understands YouTube at a level that most people will never understand.
He understands engagement. He understands business. He understands funding. He understands people. Above all, people.
Yeah. Because who thinks of these scenarios and you think to yourself, no one's going to do that. But he has people just super engaged in these weird scenarios. And my children, they'll watch him for hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you watching? He's like, I'm watching Mr. Beast, and they're doing this and that. I'm like, really? And then I'll find myself 10 minutes in standing there with my son.
You can't not watch.
It, and I'm rooting for someone, and I'm like, why am I still here watching this?
He has captured engagement to a like immense level.
And how do you you want to ask a question to him, and this one day I'm pretty sure you're going to get there when you can interview him. How are you able to create a video that both an adult in his late 40s and a child who is like 14 will sit here and watch this entire video? And it's amazing for you to cross over generations like that. For someone like me, who's a business professional, will sit there and like be stuck in this moment, but still have a teenage kid who loves your character, loves all this, what you're doing, and just be, and we're both like this. How do you do it? And that's I would love to ask him that.
That's a great question.
Put something like that together.
He's done some podcasts where he talks about his process.
Nearly.
And he literally like quit school, and he would just be on Discords with like it was like 3 or 4 other YouTubers.
Yeah.
And all they would do is just make YouTube videos and talk about what they failed at. And so like all 4 of them were making YouTube videos, growing together. They all got to like I think 1 million subscribers together. The other 3 end up quitting. But because he was saying that I'm not just learning every day by myself, I'm learning every day, and then all 3 other people are giving me feedback. So it's 4 people compounded into one day.
So
he had that over
4X'd
years.
his brain.
4x'd his brain daily for years.
Jesus Christ.
And then I mean that just compounds, right? And then also he has a consulting business. So he can I don't know if it's a consulting business, but he consults other YouTubers.
Okay.
So he watches their YouTube videos and he says, do this, and like boost their engagement and boost their like subscribers and all that stuff.
So he's able to not only did he get the 4x on the brain, but he's like using data to test on other people's pages and how it works, and he can bring it back to his page.
Yeah.
This guy is amazing.
So, but yeah, Mr. Beast effect. So I want to do that with this.
Yeah.
I want to have episodes where, bring the boys on, interviews. I want to eventually do this live where like we record it and then we rent out an arena and then I have multiple interviews, debates, sessions, artists, comedians, fights.
Yeah.
I know some fighters in my network, and I think it'd be cool to give them an opportunity and just make big events. I want to make big events.
Yeah.
Everyone gets dressed up. We come out, have a couple drinks, have a good night, bring your lady, make it entertaining, sell tickets, make it a show.
That would be awesome.
And that's the vision with this, man.
I think I got a great idea for you. I think I'm gonna have to. I don't know if we'll be able to do it in such a short period of time, but I'm gonna talk to you off camera, man. I got a great idea for that to even start, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. So it's $1 and a dream.
Absolutely.
That's all we have.
That's all I have. And really, that's all I really need. Like a lot of times, the rest of it will fall into place. All I need is a few dollars to take care of the money part, the little whatever people need, and then the dream just makes it happen, though. Like I love dreaming.
Me too, man. I'm a dreamer. Like people close to me know I'm a dreamer.
I create scenarios in my head that are so vivid and real to me that like if I wake up from it, I'm kind of upset that it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
I tricked myself into thinking one day, I was daydreaming and went to sleep, and I woke up and I really thought that I was supposed to go when I woke up to this place, this event. I told myself something. I was supposed to go meet a billionaire, and in my head, he accepted my email, and we were talking about going to lunch, and he was talking to me about a deal and all this other stuff. And when I woke up out of my sleep, I literally looked at my clock. Oh man, I'm late for lunch, and I had to stop. Wait, Mike. That was a daydream. You really didn't reach out to that man. So right afterwards, I did. I sent an email. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to email him every month until I get that lunch. Because I am a true believer now of what Denzel Washington said.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams are God's confirmation that it's yours to have.
100%.
So if I can dream out that vividly this scenario, then it's for me to have.
God wouldn't put that in your mind
if you couldn't have it.
If you couldn't have it,
because
that's just deception.
That's not his.
That's deception,
MO.
and that's exactly. So
if I can dream it, then it is possible. I just have to be patient enough for that opportunity to come. So I'm just going to be patient and keep sending the email and sending out, hey, how you doing today? Would love to buy coffee for you. Hey, how are you doing this day? I saw what you were doing last week. Congratulations on that. Just until he says, hey, why don't you meet me here? And the day that he meets me there, I'm going to be ready for that conversation.
Is this someone local in the Dallas area?
No. He's a multimillionaire in Dubai.
Okay.
And when he says jump on the plane, I got that money put aside for that plane ticket because I can't wait.
What are you going to ask him?
How do I scale this idea that I have for a tech project? How do I scale this idea to make $4 billion? How do I take it from where I see it right there that it's going to make about $2 million a year to $4 billion? How do I take it public? How do I do that? Like the whole process. How do I make it go from 2 million to 10 million, and from 10 million to 100 million, and then from there to $1 billion, and then from there, how do I exit out? But it's still part of.
Got you. It's still growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I exited, I still wanted to be a part of. I still wanted to impact everyone that it's a part of. Like it's just a different thinking now. I've been privy to so much information, so many conversations now, that if I did meet those other people I was telling you about, I have a conversation for them now, because I'm thinking way bigger. Like my thinking last time, years ago, used to be like, man, I just want $1 million, and I really can see $1 billion in my head. I've really thought it out. I'm like, that's easy. I just need the first $1 million.
That's it.
Because
first $1 million is always the hardest.
That's what they say, and then they say after that it's easy to scale it.
Well,
I want to prove them wrong. I want to get to the point where like, no, it's not easy. But if I don't prove them wrong, guess what? I just scaled $1 million into 5 million. And now I know how to scale it to 10 million. I'm going to learn a skill. I'm going to learn how to be better, and something I can bring back to my children and get them to understand. This whole entire life that I'm doing, of course, as you can hear, is so that they can understand what to do next.
Yeah.
Everything that I'm doing is so that they can do it next. I'm going to leave behind 2 things. I'm going to leave behind financial resources, and I'm going to leave behind knowledge. As I'm learning all of this stuff, as I'm getting all this, there's a book that I'm writing. It's going to be a book for the family. I'm not going to publish it anywhere else.
Got you. I'm gonna have episodes that are just for the family.
That's what I'm talking about.
In the vault. It's gonna be in the family vault.
I mean, because think about when we were growing up, we didn't have videos and Instagram.
Right.
We just have the memories of our family members in our head.
Yeah.
But now, like if I passed away in the next 20 years, whatever, my children can go on YouTube, on Instagram, and hear their father talk about what he believes in. That's powerful.
This is the first time ever. Like, I don't have a recording of my great grandfather. I don't think I have a picture of him. So it's like they're gonna have all this,
Which
is crazy.
10 generations down the line, I want to go. How is he thinking?
And that's the thing, man. Because it's like if I can, when I change this, or change our like last name forever.
Yes.
And it's, my father changed our last name forever because he decided to migrate over here.
Oh, wow.
So I was born in Kurdistan, which is in northern Iraq. And mom and dad, they're like, this is not where we're going to raise a family.
Yes.
So we came here in 1997. So I wasn't born here. We moved here. But we moved straight to Dallas. So I've been in Dallas since I was 2 years old.
Jeez.
And so they broke a generational curse. It's up to me to break another one.
Man.
And so it's there's a saying, and it's like, show me the great man who's the son of a great man. Like right now with what LeBron and Bronny are doing, it's very difficult for a reason.
Yeah.
It's cool that Bron, you're great, or LeBron, you're great. Is Bronny going to be great?
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen that.
Only time will tell with this now.
Right, but but we've never seen it.
There's never been a time where you've seen a father be the coach and the son play on a team.
Right.
But both of them playing on the same team together.
But what about like a Steve Jobs?
Yeah.
What about his kids? None of them are creating revolutionary businesses or ideas. None of Elon Musk's like.
Wow.
So like
this is like in any aspect of life.
In any
it's
aspect,
not happening.
It's very rare.
Jeez.
It's very rare. So the great man who's the son of a great man, that's the goal.
Man, and it's a lot of pressure on the son.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure on the family, regardless.
And that's one of those things that I kind of keep in mind for my son. I know that he wants to impress me and be this great kid that he wants to be. So I kind of pull the pressure off him sometimes and get him to understand it's okay to be human. It's okay to make some mistakes, man. It's okay that you didn't do this, that you didn't. Like, I'm going to help you through it. I'm going to give you some suggestions and be a father, but it is okay.
I think it's good for the father to say that, but I think there should be like a coach or mentor.
Yeah.
That is not speaking in that way.
Yeah, and that's what he gets from his coach.
Perfect. That's the dynamic. Yeah,
the football coach is like, hey,
I'm not your dad. I'm your coach.
Yeah,
and you make it clear.
And I'm the one that I have to play.
Kind of good cop.
Chess. I play chess.
Oh, chess. Okay.
There are days when I have to be that guy.
Yeah.
Or there are days when I have to like calm down because I know his mental state, and I know when to give him hard training or when to give him hugs and love. And a lot of us don't know that little space.
Right.
They don't play with that. And sometimes I was like, hey man, I want to help you out with your thinking and everything like that. So it works. He loves it. There are times when
how old are your sons?
17 and 11.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great guys, man. And then my daughters, I have a 23-year-old. I have a 15-year-old.
You have 4 kids. 4 kids.
Yes. I had to think for a second. I have 4 children from me, and then the 5th child is my wife had a child from another previous marriage, so I have 5 altogether, actually.
Beautiful, man. I want a big family.
I love big families. I told my wife today, we were talking about it, that if she was younger, she'd have to have 3 more.
Yeah, I'm on the mindset where I'm like, I'm ready, but it's like I just need to get a little a little more
a
ahead.
little bit more.
Just a little more ahead.
Man.
We're on the verge, man. We're on the cusp of blowing everything up. So it's like we're just so close. Just
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
God, yeah, I'm very. I know God's timing.
Yeah.
He's not gonna give me anything before I'm ready. So I'm just tightening up because I'm getting ready. You know what I mean?
You know, you know the hit's coming.
I know.
You just gotta prepare for it.
I gotta get in the gym a little more. Gotta roll
Work
out the
those
podcast
muscles.
a little more. Be a little more disciplined. So it's
just that one. It's gonna be that one interview.
It's a tweak.
Man, that one interview.
It's not even the interview. So to be honest with you, I just need to hire someone to kind of do the social media management aspect of it, and I think that'll be done. So that's not really my main focus right now, because I know this is eventually like Joe Rogan's podcast didn't start making money until like episode 500.
Yeah.
So I'm not really too worried about this generating a bunch of revenue or anything like that. I know it will.
Yeah.
Close to episode 500.
Yes.
So I'm not. This is like episode 50, I think, or 50 or 49.
Oh, we're good.
So
We got a little time.
Yeah. So I'm not. When I make more money in my businesses, I'll invest that into here to scale.
Yeah.
Social media, things like that, live events, kind of like I was saying.
Yep.
So that'll just be part of the process. But I need to find a way to get out of my. I need to make money out in my business to exit my day job. So that's the next step.
For you being, and you say you've been here since you were a little kid, but I know your family is still culturally connected to where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
You being an entrepreneur and your culture, is there any kickback on
100%.
the lifestyle that you've chose to?
100%. So at first, parents, because I have a couple engineering degrees. I'm an engineer by day, and I got an MBA. So I was like, this isn't really working.
Yeah.
Like, if this isn't, I did it. It's cool. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do, I should say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's not going to create generational wealth. And so I got a license in financial services, started building the business, marketing organization, and when I started doing that, my parents were like, no, you should go into real estate, you should go get your PhD, you should go anything but whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
And so then I started making a little money, and then it's like, okay. And then they started seeing how impactful it is. And then they started and then they see the podcast.
Yeah.
Now they're listening and they're watching, and it's like, okay, I think he's serious. So now we're still not 100% there. Obviously they support me and love me no matter what I do.
Yep.
But I just want to make sure I blow it out the park sooner than later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for me, to you, do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work. Whatever your mind is telling you to do, at the speed that you want to do it, at the level that you want to do it, just do that work. Don't worry about anyone or anything outside of you. The moment you start thinking about who, what, why, how, that's not connected to what you're trying to do, it will prolong how fast this starts working for you.
Yeah.
You have a dream, you have an aspiration, you have a milestone, you have a goal, all these things. Sit real tight and pretty in your seat and let that car move at the speed it's supposed to. And as you ride past people, don't wave, don't roll down the window, don't look back to talk at them. Look forward, ride in the car, and enjoy where you're going. It is the only thing that's going to keep you. It's the only thing that's going to keep you from saying, "I'm not going to do this no more." Mm-hmm. The moment you look on the side, rearview mirrors, looking back, trying to communicate with the people that are being left behind, it becomes a problem, because then the car has to stop.
Yeah. So
that you can speak to them.
Yeah.
Don't do it, bro. Look ahead. Keep your eye on exactly what you've been aspiring to, and when that 499th episode comes out, I'm gonna be right here in the other room waiting for like, who we're doing for 500. Oh, I can't wait, because by then I know for a fact that you've made it to that point where I know you're gonna be smiling. You're like, yeah, we're at 500 episode, y'all, and you have no clue. We're talking about 1 million followers by then.
Yeah.
We're talking about 1 million subscribers. We're talking about monetization. We're talking about brands wanting to partner up and be a part of the podcast.
See, like that stuff. This is just all me. I haven't reached out to do.
No, and it's
like
doing so well.
I've met some people that are like, hey, we can get some brand deals. We can do this. We can do that. And it's like my mind's just not even there yet. It's like I everything's gonna come naturally, and I know it.
Yep.
So I'm just excited, man. And I know I tell one of my friends because we're the same. He does music. He made the intro to the podcast.
Oh wow!
And I tell him, I was like, bro, we're gonna sell out Cowboy Stadium one day. I was like, we're gonna sell out Cowboy Stadium one day because it's our city. This is Dallas. We both grew up in Dallas. We have a love for the city.
That's dope.
But all right, man. Any final thoughts? What's the last thing on your mind?
Last thing on my mind would be, do not let anyone stop you from doing what you want to do. I don't care if it's a parent, a spouse, child, whatever. You are here to accomplish a goal. And if it's been put inside your head to accomplish that goal, go do it, go after it, no matter what. If you let someone stop you, if you're a spiritual person, you need to understand that you are spitting in God's face about something that he asked you to do. And then if you're a man, you have to understand there are children, people, communities that are counting on you to do what you said and you were set out to do. Don't let anyone stop you. Because the moment you let someone stop you to talk, to be distracted, whatever the case may be, you prolong the life that you've been really looking forward to. So don't let no one stop you. Don't let anyone stop you from what you want to do, whether if it's getting a job or starting a business or getting a wife or having a child or traveling, whatever it is, go do it and do it unapologetically, because life is short and you never know when it all ends.
Dr. Burks, thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, bro.